You know what's crazy? The people who seem the hardest to love are usually the ones who are dying for it the most, the ones who push you away. They secretly want you closer, the ones who look cold, detached, unreachable. Deep down, they are craving safety, love, and connection more than anyone else. That's the paradox of the fearful avoidant. They wear a mask of strength, but behind it is a storm of emotions. They want intimacy, but fear it. They want love, but run from it. And the truth is, if you can understand what they truly crave, you unlock not only their heart, but your own ability to love at a deeper level than ever before. So what do fearful avoidants secretly crave? Let's break it down. When you look at someone with a fearful avoidant attachment style, the first thing you must understand is that before they can even think about love, intimacy, or closeness, their nervous system is screaming for safety. Safety is the foundation. Safety is the key. Without it, everything else collapses. This is why when you try to love them too quickly, when you demand closeness before they're ready, it feels to them like standing on shaky ground. Imagine trying to build a house on sand. It will never stand. That's exactly how it feels for a fearful avoidant. They crave intimacy, but they cannot access it until they feel secure enough to trust the ground beneath them. Here's the paradox: while they might look distant, while they might even push you away, it's not because they don't want you. It's because their body has learned to brace for pain, to anticipate rejection, to prepare for abandonment. Their nervous system has been wired to expect danger and closeness. So what do they crave most? A space where danger is removed. A space where they can breathe without waiting for the rug to be pulled from under them. They are craving a shelter, a calm in the storm. A place where they don't have to fight for approval, where love doesn't feel like a ticking time bomb. Think about it: every wall they build, every mixed signal they give, every moment of hot and cold behavior is actually a hidden plea. It's their way of saying, please show me it's safe here. Please show me you won't run when I stumble. Please show me love doesn't have to hurt. They don't need someone to come charging in and tear down their walls. They need someone steady enough, calm enough, and strong enough to let them lower those walls themselves. Safety is not built in grand gestures. It's built in the quiet, consistent moments. It's the tone of your voice. It's the reliability of your actions. It's the way you remain calm when they're overwhelmed. When they feel safe, something powerful happens. Their defenses soften. The armor loosens. And that part of them that has been starving for love finally peeks out. Deep down, they crave to know that if they expose their most fragile self, they won't be ridiculed, abandoned, or punished for it. This craving for safety isn't weakness. It's their deepest wisdom. Because without safety, love is nothing but chaos. With safety, love finally becomes home. When it comes to someone with a fearful avoidant attachment style, what they crave isn't perfection. It's consistency. Perfection actually terrifies them because it feels fake, too good to be true, something that's bound to collapse. They've lived through broken promises, hot and cold connections, and people who claimed love but disappeared when things got difficult. That's why their hearts aren't asking for flawless fairy tales. What they want is to know that if you say you'll be there, you'll show up. If you promise to call, you actually do. It's not about the grand declarations of love. It's about whether your actions align with your words day after day. Consistency is the bridge that allows trust to form. Fearful avoidants are constantly scanning for danger, for signs of betrayal or rejection. If they see even the smallest cracks, their fear screams. Here we go again. They've been let down before, and their nervous system remembers it like it happened yesterday. That's why inconsistency is like a trigger, a painful reminder of all the people who weren't really there for them. But when you're steady, when you repeat small acts of reliability, you slowly teach their heart something new. Maybe this love won't collapse. Maybe this connection is real. Think about how powerful that is. Imagine being someone whose whole life has been shaped by unpredictability, by waiting for the shoe to drop, and then finally meeting a person who doesn't flinch, who doesn't disappear, who shows up again and again, even when it's inconvenient. That kind of consistency is like oxygen to them. It calms their storm. It gives them room to trust. It makes their walls start to crumble on their own. Consistency doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means when you do, you own them. You repair instead of retreating. You apologize instead of avoiding. That kind of steady presence means more to them than any perfect romance ever could. Because perfection is intimidating, but consistency is believable. Perfection feels temporary, but consistency feels eternal. What they truly crave is not the fantasy of someone who never falters. It's the reality of someone who keeps showing up again and again, no matter what. For the fearful avoidant, love is a paradox, something they want more than anything, yet something that terrifies them to their core. One of the deepest cravings they carry is the desire for freedom within love. To them, love can often feel like a trap, a cage that demands they give up their independence, their individuality, or their personal space. Their past experiences may have wired them to believe that closeness means control, that commitment equals losing themselves. And so they run not because they don't care, but because they are desperate to preserve their freedom. Yet deep inside, they don't actually want to be alone. They want a love that allows them to breathe, a love that embraces their independence instead of suffocating it. This is why the fearful avoidant craves a relationship that doesn't punish them for needing space. They want to know that they can step back without it being interpreted as rejection. They long for a partner who understands that needing distance isn't the same as not loving. It's part of how they regulate, part of how they protect themselves. What they want most is reassurance that their individuality won't be swallowed by the relationship, that they can still be them while being loved by you. When they feel that freedom, their fear of closeness begins to dissolve, because suddenly love no longer feels like a trap. It feels like an open field where they can run and still know someone is waiting for them with open arms. Imagine how powerful it is for them to discover that love doesn't mean losing control, that they don't have to sacrifice their personal dreams, passions, or space to be with someone. When love feels like a prison, they resist it. When love feels like freedom, they lean into it. Their deepest craving isn't to escape love. It's to experience love that honors their need for autonomy. They want to feel like they can express their uniqueness without being criticized or forced into a mold. They want love that invites them to stay, not love that demands it. And here's the truth. When they find this kind of freedom within love, something incredible happens. Their guard softens. Their panic about being trapped fades. And instead of pulling away, they begin to approach, to move closer, to give more of themselves than they ever thought possible. Because real love to them is not about possession. It's about liberation. For someone with a fearful avoidant attachment style, one of the things they secretly crave more than anything is deep emotional validation. To them, love isn't just about presence. It's about being understood at the level of the heart. They often grew up in environments where their feelings were dismissed, minimized, or even punished. Maybe when they were sad, they were told to get over it. Maybe when they were scared, no one came to comfort them. Over time, they learned to bottle up their emotions, to hide them, to believe that expressing their feelings was unsafe. And yet, beneath all of that armor, there is still a voice inside whispering, "Please see me. Please hear me. Please tell me that what I feel matters." Validation is not about fixing them. It's not about offering solutions. It's about presence. It's about looking them in the eyes and saying, "I get it. I understand why you feel this way. Your emotions are real and they make sense." That single act can disarm years of internal struggle because it speaks directly to the wound they've carried their whole life, the wound of not being seen. When they are validated, their nervous system begins to relax. Their fear of being too much starts to quiet down. They finally feel safe enough to open up more because they no longer have to defend or justify what's inside their heart. Imagine what it means to them when someone responds to their fear not with frustration, but with compassion. Imagine what it does to their soul when someone embraces their tears instead of mocking them. That kind of validation gives them permission to be fully human, to stop hiding, to stop performing, and to simply exist as they are. Deep down, they crave to know that their emotions won't be used against them, that their vulnerability won't push people away, but instead will draw someone closer. And here's the secret: once they feel truly validated, they begin to trust not only you, but also themselves. Because validation isn't just an external gift, it becomes an internal shift. They slowly learn, if someone else can accept my emotions, maybe I can accept them too. That's when healing begins. That's when their walls lower. That's when intimacy feels possible. They don't want someone to solve them. They want someone to see them. And when that craving is finally met, love stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a refuge. For the fearful avoidant, reassurance is like water to a thirsty soul, but it must come without pressure. They live in a constant push and pull between wanting closeness and fearing it. On one hand, they long to know they're loved, valued, and chosen. On the other, the moment they feel forced, cornered, or demanded to respond in a certain way, their defenses shoot up like steel walls. This is why the reassurance they crave isn't loud, demanding, or conditional. It's gentle, patient, and steady, like a hand that's always there but never squeezing too tightly. So many people misunderstand this. They think love has to be proven with constant intensity, grand declarations, never-ending pursuit, overwhelming closeness. But for a fearful avoidant, that doesn't feel like love. That feels like pressure, and pressure feels like danger. When you push too hard for closeness, they feel like they're being swallowed whole. But when reassurance is given softly, when it's offered without strings attached, it lands like a soothing balm on their heart. They crave to hear simple words like, "I care about you," or "I'm here when you're ready," without the unspoken demand of, "No, you have to give me the same in return." They want gestures that remind them they're loved without the heavy expectation of immediate reciprocation. When reassurance is unconditional, it creates space for them to lean into it at their own pace. It teaches them that love doesn't have to be suffocating. It can be steady, calm, and safe. Imagine how healing it is for them to realize that love doesn't always come with a countdown clock or a list of obligations. That they can be reassured without being trapped. That they can receive comfort without feeling controlled. This kind of reassurance quiets the voice inside that whispers, "You'll be abandoned if you don't respond fast enough. You'll be rejected if you don't give back in the same way." It shows them that love can breathe. And here's the beauty: when they receive reassurance without pressure, something shifts inside of them. They begin to trust more, open more, risk more. They don't have to run because nothing is chasing them. They don't have to hide because no one is forcing them into the light. Instead, they move closer on their own, not out of fear, but out of desire. That's when reassurance fulfills its deepest purpose, not to push them, but to invite them. Patience is the rarest and most precious gift you can offer someone with a fearful avoidant attachment style. They are not wired to trust quickly. Their history has taught them that love often comes with hidden conditions, that closeness can turn into rejection, and that intimacy might be followed by abandonment. This is why they test. This is why they pull back just when things are going well. It's not because they don't care. It's because their nervous system is asking, will you still be here if I push you away? Will you still care if I don't make it easy for you? Will your love vanish if I stumble? Deep down, what they crave is someone whose patience doesn't crack under pressure, someone who can remain steady even when the storm inside them is raging. Patience for them doesn't mean tolerating forever in silence. It means showing them that love isn't fragile, that it won't collapse the moment they hesitate. It means giving them the room to process their fear without punishing them for it. Every time you stay calm when they retreat, every time you respond with steadiness instead of panic, you prove something powerful. Not all love is temporary. Not all people run away. Not all relationships are doomed to repeat the pain of the past. Imagine how different it feels for them when someone doesn't rush their healing. When someone doesn't demand that they open up faster, love harder, or move closer on command. That kind of pressure only deepens their fear. But patience does the opposite. It creates safety. It tells their heart, I'm not going anywhere. Take your time. I can handle the pauses, the doubts, the ups and downs. That kind of love isn't weak. It's resilient. It communicates that connection can withstand struggle, that intimacy can survive distance, and that trust can grow slowly without being forced. And the truth is, once they experience this kind of patience, their defenses begin to soften in ways they never thought possible. They start to realize they don't need to keep running because nothing is chasing them. They begin to believe they can open up without being punished. They learn that love doesn't always mean urgency. It can mean consistency over time. Patience is not passive. It's one of the most active forms of love there is because it says, I see you, I understand you, and I'm willing to walk this path at your pace. not mine. For someone with a fearful avoidant attachment style, the deepest fear isn't about love itself, it's about love vanishing. They have lived with the pain of closeness turning cold, promises being broken, and people who swore they cared suddenly walking away. Their hearts have been trained to believe that abandonment is inevitable, that no matter how beautiful something feels, it's only a matter of time before it disappears. And because of this wound, what they secretly crave is a love that doesn't vanish when things get messy, when they make mistakes, or when they aren't at their best. They want to know that love can be lasting, that it won't be yanked away the second they show their imperfect, vulnerable self. To them, abandonment isn't just a memory, it's a constant threat. Even in the happiest of moments, their mind is often bracing for the ending. This is why they might seem guarded or distant when intimacy grows deeper. It's not because they don't feel love, it's because they fear the heartbreak of losing it. And yet, beneath that fear is a desperate longing for someone to prove them wrong, to show them that love can withstand distance, disagreements, and even silence. To remind them through action, not just words, that real connection doesn't vanish when life gets difficult. Think about how powerful it is for them when someone stays, not just in the easy moments, but in the storms. When instead of running at the first sign of conflict, love stands its ground. When instead of withdrawing during their low moments, someone says, "I'm still here." That is what their soul aches for, the unshakable reassurance that love isn't conditional, that it doesn't evaporate when they falter, that it doesn't vanish when they reveal the fragile parts of who they are. And here's the truth: once they experience a love that doesn't disappear, their entire internal world begins to shift. They start to believe that maybe relationships don't always end in loss, that maybe they can lean in without being left behind, that maybe love isn't just a fleeting high, but something steady and enduring. When they finally encounter a love that stays, it doesn't just soothe their fear, it rewrites the narrative of their life. It teaches them that abandonment is not their destiny, and that real love is not about perfection, but presence. For the fearful avoidant, vulnerability feels like both the greatest desire and the greatest danger. They carry a heart that longs to open, to be held, to be known in the rawest and most authentic way possible. Yet at the same time, their history has taught them that being vulnerable often leads to pain, rejection, judgment, or abandonment. So they build walls, they put on masks, they project strength and independence, even when deep down they are aching for the chance to simply say, "This is me. This is how I feel. This is where I hurt." What they secretly crave is not just love, it's the permission to be vulnerable without fear of consequence. This permission is powerful because it gives them something they've rarely had: the safety to let their guard down. Imagine how heavy it is to constantly perform strength, to always hide your fragility, to always calculate what's safe to reveal. Living that way is exhausting. But when someone creates a space where they can cry without being shamed, where they can admit their fears without being mocked, where they can share their deepest truths without being pushed away, it feels like oxygen rushing into lungs that have been suffocating. It tells them, you don't have to fight so hard to protect yourself anymore. You are safe here. They crave the chance to let someone see behind the curtain, to reveal the child inside who still longs for comfort, the human behind the armor who still aches for connection. Vulnerability, to them, is not weakness. It's the ultimate test. It's the moment where they silently ask, "If I show you who I really am, will you still stay?" And when the answer is yes, when someone holds that space with compassion and acceptance, it heals something ancient inside them. The beauty of this craving is that once they finally feel permission to be vulnerable, they begin to offer a kind of intimacy that is incredibly rare. Their love becomes deeper, their connection more real, because it comes from a place of authenticity instead of fear. They no longer have to hide behind defenses or half-truths. They can finally give love as fully as they've always wanted to, because now it feels safe to do so. What they truly desire isn't just to be loved for their best parts, it's to be loved for their hidden, fragile, imperfect self. And when they find someone who allows that, vulnerability transforms from a risk into a gift, and love becomes the freedom they've been searching for all along. When you step back and look at everything fearful avoidants secretly crave, one truth becomes undeniable: their struggle isn't about not wanting love, It's about fearing they'll lose it. Every wall, every mixed signal, every retreat is not rejection, it's protection. What they crave most is not perfection, not intensity, not even constant closeness. What they want is safety, consistency, freedom, validation, reassurance, patience, enduring love, and permission to be vulnerable. And here's the beautiful paradox: the very things they crave are the very things that transform not just them, but anyone who learns to offer them. Because what they need most is what all of us deep down are searching for. The journey of loving someone with a fearful avoidant attachment is not about fixing them. It's about creating a space where healing can happen naturally. When you give them safety, you also discover what it means to build love on unshakable ground. When you give them consistency, you learn the power of showing up even in the small things. When you allow them freedom, you realize love isn't about possession. It's about partnership. When you validate their emotions, you practice compassion at its deepest level. These aren't just lessons for them. These are lessons that expand your own capacity to love with strength and wisdom. Patience, reassurance, and steadfast presence might feel like challenges at first, but they are the very qualities that turn fragile connections into unbreakable bonds. Think about it. What kind of love do you want to experience in your life? A love that's fleeting, conditional, here today and gone tomorrow, or a love that can weather storms, heal old wounds, and prove itself steady when everything else feels uncertain. Fearful avoidants, through their very struggles, are teaching us what it takes to build that kind of love. They are mirrors showing us that deep down, we all crave the same things: safety, freedom, understanding, and the courage to be seen. And when you finally see through the fear, when you stop taking their defenses personally, you uncover something extraordinary: the heart of someone who is capable of loving with a depth that most people can't even imagine. Because once a fearful avoidant feels safe, once they realize love doesn't disappear, once they're given permission to be vulnerable, their love is fierce, loyal, and profoundly real. They may be hard to reach, but they are worth the effort. Their transformation is not just theirs, it's shared with anyone willing to walk that journey with them. So the conclusion is simple but powerful. What fearful avoidants secretly crave is not so different from what you and I crave: to be loved without fear, to be accepted without condition, to be free and yet connected, to be vulnerable and still chosen. And when we can give this to them and to ourselves, we don't just heal individuals, we heal relationships, we heal generations. We heal the very meaning of love. That is the gift hidden inside their struggle, and it's the lesson that can change the way we love forever. Thank you for giving your time, your energy, and your heart to this message today. If what you heard touched something deep inside you, remember, it's not just knowledge, it's a call to action. Because change begins the moment you choose to see yourself and others through a new lens of compassion, patience, and love. If this resonated with you, don't just walk away, stay connected. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a moment of growth, healing, and empowerment. Share this video with someone who needs it, because you never know the impact a single message can have on someone's life. Your journey matters. Your healing matters. And every step you take toward understanding yourself and others brings you closer to the love and connection you've been craving all along. So until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep leaning into growth, and keep believing in the power of love that lasts. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.